We're going to talk about this year war. From 9 News, Australia, UK plans to sail through Crimean waters again as Russia threatens to bomb on target. Now, this is all basically because Russia seized Crimea. And I'll try and very, very simplify everything for those that aren't familiar with the full story. Ukraine seems to be going the way of NATO. This was several years ago. And that meant Russia was going to lose its only warm water port in the Black Sea, which is Crimea. So they moved in and claimed the people of Crimea voted to join Russia. Well, apparently the people of Ukraine don't believe that's the case. And I know a lot of people in Ukraine, and I know people who have family and friends in Crimea say it's also not the case that they want to join Russia. There's not much you can do when you're being occupied by a military and they have no way to defend themselves. Well, now you have the UK, who doesn't recognize this, running along the coastline. And Russia is basically dropping bombs and firing warning shots and threatening, we will bomb you if this is the case. So let me just read a little bit. They say Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine after a military intervention in the region in 2014. Russia said the UK's HMS Defender went 3 kilometers inside what it described as its territory off of Cape, Fiolent in Crimea. Just before noon on Wednesday, a nation's territorial waters extend 12 nautical miles from its coastline. Any foreign warship going past that limit would need permission of the country to do so, with a few exceptions. Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Defense Secretary Ben Wallace both backed the assertion, we don't recognize the Russian annexation of Crimea. It was illegal. These are Ukrainian waters, and it was entirely right to use them to go from A to B. He denied that UK-Russian relations were at historic low, noting that I can remember times in my own lifetime when things have been far worse. The important point is that we don't recognize the Russian annexation of Crimea. This is part of sovereign Ukrainian territory, Mr. Johnson told reporters on Thursday during a visit to an army barracks in England. This is a game of chicken. You know, who do you think's got the cojones to make that move?
Well, speaking of the cojones, like, where did the UK get the cojones from? Like the fact that they're like, of all the things that they have going on in the UK with Brexit and trying to sort out their economy, like, where are they like peacocking around? Like, how did they come to the table with this?
Actually, that's kind of a sad thing to think about, because I did this thread on the founding fathers earlier, how I was like that the people who signed the Declaration of Independence knew that they were declaring war on the most powerful military the world had ever seen. And they thought they were going to lose. Many did. And it was, some say it was only because of French intervention that we actually were able to win. The French, of course, had an interest in defeating the British. It's funny that narrative of the British being so powerful, and now it's like, wow, where did Britain get the balls to go up against Russia? Oh man!
But seriously, like, what do they get out of this Ukrainian situation, and why are they? I mean, they know they don't have a strong ally in the U.S. anymore in terms of being able to support. So, like, why are they out there like, we're gonna be, going up against Russia, and Russia's like, we must break you. Like, how did that sort of all?
I don't know. Out? It's interesting because the big narrative for a long time was that Ukraine there's this natural gas monopoly through the Gazprom, company, Russia, and it's running through Ukraine. So the U.S. wanted the Qatar-Turkey pipeline to go up through Syria and Turkey and then into the EU to offset their monopoly and lower prices. But Syria said no, and then war breaks out and it's all chaos and conflict. And then Joe Biden's like, I'm going to improve this, was it Nord Stream 2, where they're building another pipeline, and Biden's like, we're going to allow this. So it's really confusing to me when you're trying to follow through this history and the news about why we're currently entering this level of conflict. I mean, obviously we are allies with the UK, and this is a lot about NATO, but why allow Russia to build another pipeline through it's like just north of Europe along the coast? Why allow that, but then taunt them and play these games and be upset about Ukraine? It seems something's broken right now.
I think they're trying to frame it as if we did nothing wrong and we got attacked, so we're the ones they're just in this situation. Because, I mean, but the truth is, it's moronic to poke the beast regardless. I don't know, man. History will tell.
And I'm a money person, so I'm like trying to follow the pipeline and follow the money and going, okay, like, who's benefiting where and where are the dollars flowing? Because at the end of the day, that's on one side or the other. That's what this has got to be all about. Either it's about somebody getting money or someone trying to bleed more money out of the U.S.
I think the interest in this the story may just be saber rattling. There have been like Russian flybys before. There have been like Russia, their planes entering like U.S. airspace or something.
Kim
like
Jong-un got too much journalistic space for all of his little things, so they had to kind of step up and go, no, we're bad guys too. Don't forget about us.
But these things happen, and usually like we don't see much. So I'm wondering if it's people are interested in this simply because of the idea of like the fourth turning. I mean, I'll say this is one of the reasons I'm interested in seeing this news, because it sounds like the UK and Russia are playing a game of chicken. And of course, if that comes to blows, we're involved. There's a fear that we're in this crisis period where there's going to be a major war. China, of course, is saying we'll work with Russia to counterattack. So, I can't remember, was it Bannon who was talking about this? They were saying that, Russia should not be aligned with China, but we've effectively forced that on them, especially when the Democratic Party has been repeatedly just Russia bashing nonstop. So Russia's, pushed back saying, okay, fine, it's us against you. Now they work with China. But again, this could just be words. It could be meaningless. Russia could just be shaking their fist from the shoreline while the UK passes by and nothing ever happens.
But it's a great way to put the U.S. in a financial and a national pickle, isn't it? Especially when you don't have sort of strength at the top leadership. Because what is it that we can't afford more than anything else? It's certainly another war. And so from a dollar standpoint, as well from a national standpoint, the split in terms of people who would be for and against that, we don't need that right now. And certainly if you're savvy, if you're in Russia and you're in China, you're aware that we don't need that right now.
There's also wokeness, right? This whole critical race theory battle and its subsets tearing at the core of the United States. And now we see the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff just being like outright like, what's wrong with being woke? I take offense to that. I want to understand white rage. And it's like, oh, geez, I can only imagine that Russia and China are well aware of the rift in the U.S. And this is what worries me. If the UK gets bold and says, we're going to drive our boats by, Russia might be like, hey, if we bomb them right now, they can't do anything about it. The U.S. is fractured. Their military's gone woke. So is that, I don't know, what do you think? Is that a big risk, or am I overthinking things?
No, I think it's a huge risk, and I think we need to be talking to our little friends in Britain and telling them to settle down a little bit, because like you said, it's sort of moral hazard, right? They're the ones who are going to poke the beast, as you said, but they aren't the ones that are going to suffer most of the repercussions. It's going to fall back on us. So, maybe they might just want to slow their roll a little bit.
That scares me though, because we saw China saying that the U.S. is not in a position of strength. If the reality is we do have to be like, UK, please don't bother Crimea. We know Russia stole it, but we can't do anything about it.
Now is not a good time. Maybe come back to us in a couple of years.
Man, I feel like the U.S. is in trouble.
The whole world is in trouble. It's like a house of cards, and if there's a global war, could set us back 10,000 years.
I mean, did you see what China was saying about COVID and lab leak? They were like, if you investigate the origins, we need. It was Chinese state media speaking to themselves, saying we need to up production of nuclear weapons to send a shiver down the spines of the American elites. So you got like nuclear saber rattling. Russia apparently they issued a statement saying that their official response to any war, including conventional warfare, like if some missiles go flying, they'll launch nukes. Now, will they really? I don't think so. They're like, we'll respond to aggression, but we will use nukes. I think a lot of this could just be like fist shaking from the shoreline.
Testing the waters.
That could be it too. Yeah, but maybe the UK warship is just sailing by, and then Russia's like, UK, and that's all that really happens,
Yeah, I wonder if there's a crypto tie-in here, as we've kind of offline talked about, China's role in crypto and digital currency, and obviously they're trying to become the world's reserve currency. And what a better way to continue the great work that the Federal Reserve has done in devaluing the dollar than trying to bring us into another war that we need to print a bunch of money for that we can't afford. Not to like throw out random conspiracy theories here, but just again trying to kind of connect things that potentially could happen. There could be a tie-in with that.
Well, I think it all is. First of all, we probably don't even realize how much is connected to all of this.
Yeah.
We might be looking over here at this, UK, the HMS Defender,
right,
and we're like, wow, what a story. And we might not even know that an actual, conflict with actual live fire happened somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like the news that comes out, for instance, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which brought us into Vietnam, we didn't actually know the full details for decades. We just got some reports later on.
I just found out the USS Maine was like a false flag that got us involved in the Spanish-American War to liberate Cuba, from the Spanish Empire. It blew up. No one knew why. And then William Randolph Hearst started printing articles that were like, remember the Maine, and everyone went to war with Spain.
Okay, so if we're talking about like things that are distractions, so then we had all of these cyber attacks that happened in the U.S. on the pipeline, on the meat plants and stuff, and it's sort of planting the seeds. Oh, Russia's doing these things. Now we've got this conflict with Russia. So, yeah.
We actually have this. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.